Welcome to Babylon City, the hub of the ancient world. Never before or after has there been a city like this. The Bible calls it the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency. On entering this city, Daniel and his companions were immediately placed in the Babylonian education system. In 603 BC, their third year, they completed their education, and in the same year entered the service of the king. Nebuchadnezzar was in his second year reign as sole ruler, which was his fourth year reign, according to Jewish chronology, commencing when he was joint ruler with his father. Events occurred that severely tested the integrity of these youthful Hebrews and proved to an idolatrous nation the power and faithfulness of God.
And in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him.
This remarkable dream made a deep impression upon the mind of Nebuchadnezzar, but he found it impossible to recall the particulars. History tells us why this was such a problem for the king.
In Mesopotamia, the king was viewed as the cultic mediator between God and man. As head of all the priests of the country, he had important cultic functions at the New Year's festival. The king may be the recipient of a direct revelation of the will of a god. In Mesopotamia, the duty of the king to ascertain the will of the gods was more strongly emphasized. A directive of the gods could result from omens, dreams, or reading the entrails of offerings. All major undertakings of the king were dependent on directives of the god, who was to be consulted in advance.
So forgetting the dream was like forgetting a direct revelation from God about future events. And that's exactly what it was.
Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king.
The king called for all the spiritualistic groups in Babylon, but not for Daniel and his friends. Why? Because they did not belong to such classes of people. The king offered great rewards for revealing the dream, or a gruesome death for failing to fulfill his demands. The king did not get his request.
For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain.
After this decree, Daniel secured extra time from the king. The sacred record tells us that he returned home, informed his companions, and they sought the Lord to unveil the dream to them.
Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his.
One thing that Daniel realized in this dream that we also need to realize is that God is the ruling power in the affairs of this world. He sets up kings and removes kings to fulfill his own purpose. Daniel had utmost confidence in what God had shown him. He didn't go to the king asking, Is this your dream? Instead, he gave God thanks for showing him the king's matter.
Then Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus unto him, I have found a man of the captives of Judah that will make known unto the king the interpretation.
Daniel declares plainly to King Nebuchadnezzar that the source of all wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of future events doesn't come from him, but comes from the God of heaven, and that the purpose of God in giving him this dream was to reveal what shall be in the latter days. Daniel then related the dream.
Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron, and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth.
As Daniel related the facts, the dream came fresh to the king's mind. Nebuchadnezzar was an idolater. Therefore, this image was an object which at once commanded his attention and respect. This image is a comprehensive outline of world history. The glorious kingdom of Babylon formed a head of gold. All following kingdoms decreased in splendor but increased in strength, as shown by the grades of metal. First gold, then silver, brass, and iron. In the latter part of the world's history, a marked change was revealed in the iron mixed with clay, and the stone that destroyed these kingdoms and filled the whole earth with its own. Let us walk through history as we enlarge this interpretation.
This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all.